Okay, everybody, welcome to another Torq Moto podcast with myself, Jeffro, and Wobbs. Hope all you delinquents, all you motocross punks and rockers out there.
What number are we on now? Because we screwed that up. I don't even know what number we're on.
I don't
4.
know.
That'll do.
Who
5.
knows? Who knows? We're swapping them around. We're doing bits and pieces because riders are coming thick and fast. Not only riders, industry people as well, as we try and get some of these done before Christmas. So me and Wobbs can actually take Christmas off. That'd be nice, kind of.
Yeah, wishful thinking, I think.
It is. So, yeah, as we said before, we've got a lot of good plans for this going into 24. We are only just scraping the surface. We will get rolling proper when the season comes around. And we'll get proper. We'll get out and about as well. But at this point, big shout out to Talon. That have helping us do this.
Very
we are
so.
talking to a few other people.
Yeah,
Wobbs, talk about Talon. That I know we talk about it all the time, but it's their 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary this year. We're going to go down to Yeovil to their headquarters. We're going to do like a visit round, look at the factory. They do so much cool stuff. It's not just motocross stuff, which is obviously why they sponsor us, but they do a lot with aerial cars, a lot of military stuff. It is as good as it gets. It's lovely stuff. So we are going to be spending a bit more time going down there, going through it. And I've actually been on to them this week about some of the wheels and bits and pieces for the Mike Brown bike for the 24.
I'm looking forward to seeing them.
VMXDN, and that's going to look really trick. And entries just went live for the VMXDN. Not that I'm having a plug, but it was mental. It sold out like trying to get like Taylor Swift tickets, I think. So it's all right. It's good. You know,
Wobbs,
careful what you wish for.
If you can't plug your own event on your own podcast, when can you plug?
Oh, believe me, we are going to be plugging the shit out of it.
Yeah. So obviously, VMXDN, Talon, supporting British industry.
Exactly. Well, talking about British industry, this isn't British. I think we've got JSV Pipes. They're going to be helping us out along the way because I do use them a lot on my builds. So I'll go into a bit more depth with those guys. There's a few other companies who haven't signed up yet, but they're close. So once we get them on board,
we're rolling. We're like I said, we're just starting out. And obviously, we have got some great guests lined up. And this one, well, we're really happy to get this gentleman on. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you World Supercross SX2 Champion.
How cool does that sound?
How does that sound, Mr. Max Anstie?
Oh, sounds very good. Thanks for having me on. I had a great time getting the medal over the weekend on Saturday. Apologies for the people that are watching if my lighting's a bit funny. The lights have just gone out in this room, so I've got lamps everywhere. But no, it's amazing to be a world champion. You know, the first British, Supercross champion or whatever you want to call it. You know, it's been a while since a British world champion in our little world of motocross and supercross and man, the amount of years that I raced GPs and came up short, won races, but never really got there. And I was in the era of, man, it was so hard to rack up the wins. And all of a sudden now, I never thought I'd be racing a 250 again, a few years ago. And here we are, racing a 250, can go back and work on things I needed to work on with a bike. And it's Supercross, which, as you guys know, I mean, Jeff, from when I was on a 65 riding around NEC and Sheffield and all that stuff, doing the Future West British Supercross, it kind of feels like this is what I was meant to do. And I don't know, just to do this for myself, but also for the UK, to showcase that, right, we can race Supercross. Supercross is something that when I was a kid, it's stars and stripes in America, and you just see it in the magazines and you think it's so far away. Whereas now, being able to race Supercross Global and showcase that around the world now, fans and family and everyone come to Birmingham, even Australia. I met some great people, Abu Dhabi. Like it's been cool and got one of these gold medals. So,
yeah, come on, let's have a look.
Let's see it.
Come on,
is it real?
What it's all about.
Come on, let's have a look at it. I know that the signal's not great.
Got it here.
Oof! Look at that.
Taking it up this morning. I've been wearing it.
So you should, mate. So you should. Good for you.
Look at that.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You say, Max, you were kind of destined for it. It's funny that because going back obviously to your dad's career, and I'm sure Merv won't take this the wrong way, but you know,
Merv can take a lot the wrong way. Don't
he could. But you know, before you, okay, so his career was kind of built on like genuine like grit. You know, I think he'd be openly the first to admit he wasn't necessarily the most rider with the most finesse, but he stuck it in there.
He got the job done though. In fairness to him.
Obviously, from a young age, he must have probably looked at his career and thought, okay, if Max is going to do this, we're going to do it. And he had a plan for you. You know, and those early days of learning those techniques, I've been with you enough down your track at Greatly and seeing how your dad works with you, really drummed in technique from a young age. So it's obviously come good because, you know, like you say, you're kind of designed to be a supercross rider.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
That's right. It's hard. You've seen me grow up and you've seen the track and things like that. A lot of people don't understand. Like they say to me, "Oh, how are you good in the whoops? You know, you're a British rider. Or how does that happen?" And the thing is that what I try to explain is from my dad's career, he tells me all the stories. He would hit a few trees and knock himself out pretty much every weekend, and he never had style or technique, or his knees were always twisted up, and he hated that. So with me, it's quite interesting, really. Like, from when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, I would ride after school from Monday to Friday at Greatly or Thruxton, where the track used to be. But obviously, in the UK, we don't have a lot of land. Like, we don't have a big motocross track with hills. It's not like I could go and ride Fox Hill. As many jumps and as many. It was basically, I was riding Supercross from 7 years old, learning safety skills. And all he would teach me was, you know, rear brake, how to, even stupid things like how to case stuff, how to overjump stuff. And, you know, he went back and studied it. Or I remember him watching the Gary Semix videos, and I trained with a lot of different people. He actually allowed me to train. I trained with Carlo Holson in the sand, and John Van der Berg, and Rick Johnson in the States, and Sebastian Tortelli. Like, I've actually, although from a young age he really wanted me to learn all these skills. Obviously, he didn't know them all himself, so that's why he kids, because that's what he really found a passion for with me. And it's funny because people talk to me about, you know, training and this and that for kids, and even the other day I was riding with Chad Reed and Chad Reed's little guy Tate, and he's doing laps and beating laps out of the Supercross track, and I thought, well, I never actually did a practice moto. Never did a practice moto until I was 18. Until I moved to Holland with Tommy, and well, we lived in France on CLS. Like, all I used to do, which I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but all I used to do was skills, techniques, and then I'd go to a practice track and do sections and this and that and the other. But now, looking at where I'm at in my career, would I have liked to won a championship before 30 years old? Yeah. But I also feel like my body, touch wood, is good. All right, we've all had injuries, but the longevity now of my career, I feel like I'm 17 again, learning, like having fun with Supercross, but I can keep progressing. I feel like I'm getting better and better and better, and there's no reason why, you know, we can't keep continuing. You never know what's going to happen in this sport. I know that from one day to the next, and teams and this and that. But I feel like I'm in a good place where many guys have already retired at this age, whereas I feel like I'm just getting into my prime with it. And yeah, so it's crazy how it works, but definitely Supercross and riding in the sand. And I would ride in the Supercross from Monday to Friday after school, and then go to Holland on the weekends and ride in the sand. And that's kind of how I got so good at doing a bit of both. And after racing GPs and beating my head against the wall in France at St. John d'Angely or Arco di Trento in Italy, or some of these tracks, Czech Republic, that I was like, oh, I don't really like these tracks. They're horrible and hard packed and slippery. And now racing a Supercross, like Supercross races, or even the sand section in Supercross, I love it. Like, it's like built for me. So no, I'm having a lot of fun and looking forward to, you know, seeing where it goes. And yeah, the US has been great, and now World Supercross is also is really cool.
So just thinking about that, the longevity, like you said, of a career, a lot of riders now with sports science and stuff like that, you know, diet, they do push on now into, you know, like mid 30s. I mean, in America, we've had a lot of top riders, Wobbs, as we spoke about before, have knocked it on the head quite early.
Quite early, yeah, but it's so intense in America, and and Max will tell you, until you've been there and you've done a few seasons, I mean, no downtime. The traveling is it's just intense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It does age you. I mean, it's hard work.
Definitely, outdoors is a push over there. Definitely, like now I've been lucky enough to have like Justin Brayton as my teammate. So JB, he's nearly 40. Like I think he's 40 next month or something like that. And man, he's been a really good role model this last year, and I've been able to learn a lot from him. And just like he asked me the other day, he said, "Oh, do you want to race outdoors again?" And I'm like, I didn't move to America to race outdoors. If I wanted to race motocross, I would have stayed in GPs, because for me, the GPs still like if you're going to win an outdoor championship, you want a gold medal from GP. Like
yeah, very
the
much
450 class in the GPs, I feel like in motocross is the pinnacle, but Supercross is in the States. And
yeah.
I moved to America to race Supercross, and of course, I love outdoors, and I'm good at outdoors from the years of experience. But if you're not getting paid for it and you're not making decent money, I'm like, what's the point in doing the damage to your body during outdoors? Because it's so hard, takes so much effort. I mean, we were just briefly speaking about off air about doing Fox Hills, the Vets Nations. It's like it still takes a lot of prep. Whereas I would rather prepare for one thing and do it properly, which is Supercross. And I honestly haven't ridden a day of outdoors for over a year now. I mean, not saying that I can't go back and ride outdoors or go and prep if things line up, or say factory Honda turn around and go, "Oh, one of our guys are injured. Here's a 450, you got a month to get ready." I mean, it'd be hard to turn it down. But of course, where I'm at right now, racing just US Supercross East Coast, that goes from February to May, that's 9 rounds. Then I have a break so I can actually work on my body, make sure that I'm feeling good, and then get into World Supercross and Australian Supercross. It just allows me to focus on one discipline in a way, because they are so different. My bike setup, all of that stuff, to be the best that I can be in Supercross. And at the end of the day, that is where the money's at.
That's
like,
smart, really
in
smart.
America, Supercross, getting on the podium, it's tens of thousands. I mean, on 450 class, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars each night.
And nobody really bothers that much about outdoors. And I didn't really understand that whole thing that they did this year with that super motocross. They said it was I didn't really get it. I was struggling. It was...
Well, I think it was a counter. It was. Would you agree, Max, that was possibly a counter move by the AMA because they potentially felt a little bit threatened by the World Supercross to do that? You know,
maybe. But it was quite interesting because I was with Mike Pelletier yesterday from the AMA and Adam Bailey from World Supercross. They all get along really well, and I know Adam Bailey's had good chats with Davey Coombs and. From the US Outdoors, and next year they don't want to clash. They want and it's what I think it should be is everyone wants to compare World Supercross to America. What we've got to remember is American Supercross has been around for years and years and years, and you are never gonna be. It's the reason why we all get into the sport and we watch Jeremy McGrath and Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart. Like, you're not going to compete with that. So that's why I feel like World Supercross has its own place. But it's different. Like, even the schedule is different. Racing worldwide is different. Racing Abu Dhabi, the track was different. It was tight, but it's still a world championship. Australia was really cool, like more like a US East Coast round. So it's one of those where everyone's quick to compare, but I think give it a couple of years, you know, with World Supercross, and it's something different, but it also gives the riders a good incentive. Supercross is, like I said, you make good money. Each pass you make, you're thinking, right, like I'm on even for the championship, right, in Australia. I said to my mechanic, I was like, right, after the second main, if everything goes to plan, the team are going to be, you know, real happy because I've just won the championship. I said, we need to keep focused for the last race. I said, you change the clutch, do whatever you need to do on the bike. I said, I'm going to do my interviews, but I said, we've got 45 minutes and I want to win the night, because the night bonus is just as much as a championship bonus. I'm like, it's sweet. You're actually having a good incentive to go racing. And after my career in GPs, the podium bonuses in GPs was 12 grand for a win, 6 grand for second, and 3 grand for third. And I'm getting on the podium with Jeffrey, Caroli, Geyser, Holland, Bembra, Sewer, Colnoff. Like, Jesus, getting third place and you get 3 grand, you're like, I feel like you should be making a bit more money than that. Whereas like in the States, the factory bonus is on the 250. You're like 50 grand a win, 30 for second, 20 for third. The 450 class is 100 grand,
100 grand
for a minimum. Like, I think some of the guys even double it up. So it's like 200 grand a night they can make for a win. So
it's good, isn't it?
Of course, you've got to be good. You've got to be able to get on the podium. But at least it's there, rather than after the years that I've had of racing GPs, and even if you win, it's so hard to do, and it's incredibly difficult. And that's the thing with the US outdoors. When I raced it, I was on a privateer team. We had no bonus structure. I'm like, man, the amount of effort that goes into this. And I went 5-5 at Southwick, past Roxon, past Anderson, was battling with whoever else was up in there. I'm like, oh, I got $1,500, and I'm like, it's a bit of a waste of time.
That's a lot of work.
You want the super money, because at least you're actually being able to.
And it's not
now. I've got a little one, like
exactly, and it's really nice.
What it's about. When I was younger, it was just I don't care. I was like,
diapers, or nappies cost.
Oh, did I freeze?
Oh, you got everybody bitches about. Everybody's got to earn a living, It's all a job for us all. You can't go into Sainsbury's with best intentions. You know what I mean? You've got to pay the bills, and it's important. But I mean, like this sounds like the schedule you've got this year really works for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I touching on that. Like, I remember going to Dixon in 2013 or 2014, like end of 2013, and I remember being like, I don't care about making money. I just want the bike. Let me have the bike. Let me get the results. Yada yada yada. And at that point in my career, when you're young, you kind of got to take the risks to get to that level. And it's like riding a Star Yamaha or something like that. But now where I'm at, we're competitive. We can get on the podium, and it's nice to be in a position in the US where you're racing for position and you're racing for money in each pass that you make in a way.
Let's talk about Max. You said about the differences. So what's it been like actually racing the World Supercross? You're a well-traveled guy. You've raced GPs. You've raced, obviously, American Supercross, and you still are. So year one was a difficult year for them. It started off great at Cardiff. Loads of us British fans went out. It was heaving. It was brilliant. Obviously, then they had issues with the takeover and financial issues and stuff. But as a rider, how's it been? Okay, look, not the number of rounds that they set out to do, but you've still been traveling around the world. So how's that been, traveling from each country, but also the setup and the people that are running it? I've been involved with 2 of them. From my standpoint, the guys, I can see the work that they're putting in, and they're obviously getting quite a lot of, or they had quite a lot of criticism about it. But like anything new, it takes a little while to bed in. And from what I could make out, most of you riders doing it seem relatively happy to be doing it. Not just because of obviously the money, the chance you can win the money, but there seemed to be a pretty nice vibe amongst all of you.
And it seems to be,
apart from maybe one.
From a team perspective, the way that they ship everything around and it looks the same at each race, that's really cool. That's really not easy to organise all that shit. It's...
Yeah, I think, I mean... You're always happy when you win, and you're always not happy when you're not winning. So you can always pick holes in things. For the guys that are not getting the results that they want. But a couple of things. Like, the first thing is that everyone says to me, oh, it was only 3 rounds. There's 3 countries, but there's 3 main events at each round. So, that score points. A US East Coast Supercross, for me, is 9 rounds. Or 10 rounds. We've literally just done 9 rounds.
nine races.
At least
9 point scoring races,
okay, there's three. So you have to really, it gives you a different dynamic. You really got to stay focused to execute each main. Because, you could go and win 2 mains, be like, great, happy days, and then DNF the last one, and you've only made 50 points out of 75. So you are literally losing a whole moto. That's like DNF being the main event, wherever you are in the world. So it's the actual racing is very intense with the 9 main events that we've had, even though it's 3 a night. I think as far as it goes, Adam Bailey, the guys have done a great job. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, like, the amount of times I've grown up and said, how cool would it be if there was a World Supercross Championship? Like, how cool would that be? And it never happened. I'm just kind of grateful that it's actually in my career time. This could have been 10 years later or 10 years ago.
We had one in 98. I
sure.
was the mechanic for the world champion in 98. Let's not throw that one out there. I don't want anybody to forget.
Remind me of that one, Wobbs. No, seriously, remind me of that one.
No, Reynard was world Supercross champion in 98. We went and did all the whole series, and it was quite. It was all live on TV, and it was quite intense because LaRocco was there, and Villemin and McGrath, and there's loads of them.
Yeah,
Robbie won it.
Villemin's, and it was Toronto. There was a real mud race, right? Well, one of them in
that was Paris, the first one. What first round, ankle deep in slop. Bloody. Then we put the bike in a crate to go to Brazil, and you couldn't turn the wheels when it got it out of the crate. But it is what it is. I mean, that was what I'm saying about intense. Like if you do like a full series, you do Supercross in America. Even if we did East Coast, we did a few 250 West Coasts as well. Then a full season of outdoors. Then you go to Europe. Do the World Supercross season there, which was, I believe, 6 rounds, and then Bercy and a few other. Exhausted, man. It's a long year. Yeah. I was physically. I had to go and lay in a dark room for a bit. It was hard work.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the schedule you got now is really. It's nice. It sounds like you're not going to get burnt out. You're not going to.
No, it was lovely for round 1. Well, I mean, I said lovely. It was nice at round 1. To be in Birmingham, but it was very, it was busy. Man, I had a lot going on with just general World Supercross things like TV and media stuff. But then also being at home, I had all that sort of media stuff and fans and family and friends. It was nice to have a home GP, after being in the States for a few years, obviously home GP and Cardiff was great. But Abu Dhabi and Australia, it was like I was going there just to do business. I was like, right, I'm coming out on top of both of these. I'm going to win both of these. Before I even showed up, I was going in with that mindset. And it was really nice. Like they did a great job. Like Abu Dhabi, all right, the track was tiny, was really different. You would go in the stadium was like aircon. You'd go out the stadium and it was like 40 degrees. It was so hot. It was like going into an oven. So it was really weird. Goggles were almost fogging up, like going from inside to outside. But it gives a different dynamic. Like US Supercross and US Outdoors, I would say is very much of the same. Like you can keep your same settings. If you make a good, if you set your bike up well around power, it's pretty much going to work everywhere. Like Red Bud, it's a bit softer, isn't it? Yeah. And it's same with US Supercross. They're built very similar at each round. So if you're
the only thing with the US Supercross is
round 17.
If there's a roof on the stadium, I mean, this is back in the carburetors, 2-stroke carburetor days. We were jetting like mad. I mean, I think as it's gotten on with fuel injection, I think it's a little bit easier. I think, but when you were in the stadiums in California,
it's less.
Yeah. When you're in the stadiums in California for the first rounds and it was hot in the day and then cooled off at night, then the jetting was having to be changed. You didn't get any time on track to check it. And then you go out East Coast and it was cold in the day, but as the stadiums filled up and they had the heating on, it would warm up. And so it would be the opposite. It was quite hard to jet. Like a fussy 125 was quite
125s in Supercross. God, that would be good. Bring them back.
That's proper racing.
That is it's funny. Yeah, that is the things that people don't see, and it's the same. Obviously, I think it's slightly easier, but he's on his laptop. The mapping in the morning when the bike's cold, she's yeah. When it does get hotter in the day, she gets a bit fluffy. It gets
a bit lazy.
Gets a bit lazy, and you're like, right, we need to richen it up here or lean it out here. They are on it with. They do it now with a laptop. So instead of changing the main jets, they're there with the laptop. It was so humid in Tampa. I was like, the whole day, I was like, dude, the bike feels really slow. Like, it's like, and they're like, it's so hot and there's so much water in the air that the bike's just being choked. And in the main event there, the bike was overheating, and it was only a 15-minute, main event. Like, you do 235s around Longmore, but the bike was getting so hot. And it's just crazy how Supercross just puts a different strain on the engine. The mapping, of course, makes a massive difference. So, yeah, it's funny, those little bits and pieces, the fine details that from the outside you don't really see.
No. What people don't see is you're making changes and not trying them, because you're having to go straight out with those changes, because you can't just go and do like a practice lap, and you can ride around the pits all you want, but it's different air in there. And you don't get to try
it. Exactly. And it's funny because my friends would say to me, my mates would say to me, mud race, like, God, what the fuck's happening to him? Like, he's really struggling. I'm like, honestly, he can't see. Like, trust me, you can't realise on TV that his goggles are probably messed right up. And it's the same thing in Supercross, or just with the bike. Like, one moto, if you get it right, your bike could be sweet.
Yeah.
If you get it a little bit wrong, go the wrong way with the mapping or with the jetting, you can still ride it, but it's way harder to ride, and it's nowhere near as safe. So
no, exactly. And I've noticed now with the tracks, they're putting the face of the jump so close to the corners. If that thing don't hit, you ain't going to make it. It used to be with the 125s, we had factory gearboxes where the transition from second to third gear wasn't massive because they'd be shifting to third on the face of the jump. If that thing bogs, man, you're going to kill him.
Another thing that is very interesting with Supercross, and actually, randomly, I was talking to Dave Thorpe about this yesterday.
Name dropping.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to Dave. I was talking to Dave yesterday about Conrad and about the British Arena Cross, and I said what he needs to get used to. And I did message Conrad this, but I don't know if he replied. Or he didn't reply. I said, you need to get used to riding in first gear. Really weird. When you're in GPs, you think first gear is just gear in the pits. But these top guys in America, they run first gear everywhere. Like on these tights, to get these tight jumps out of the turn, you think, it's weird going through neutral. But once you get used to making sure you shift in the right spots, you can open up the gearbox. And that allows you to run slightly different gearing. So the bike's not quite as rat on the start.
Yeah.
It can drive, but you can use first gear for this really tight stuff. It makes a big difference, especially in the 450s. Like that's one thing that, when you're in the States, it's very common. The guys are using first a lot.
They obviously,
so surprising.
Lowering the gear in and whatever. But do you think 450s are too much, especially for the stadiums? I mean, Jesus, them things are ridiculously powerful.
I mean, it's when people ask me that or ask me about the track in Abu Dhabi or this or that, I'm like, it kind of just is what it is. I've just got to deal with it. Like, if they say the rules are the rules, the rules are the rules. I just it's a bit like me racing a 250. People say, I didn't point out. And after all this time, in my career, I grew up racing with Jeffrey. I was 24 when he went 450, so I had to go for. I didn't even get a year of trying to crack on and win it without him being there, or having at least a good crack at it, and
a crack at it,
and never really worked out. And then this year, they're like, well, you're eligible to race. I'm like, all the young kids are kicking off. They don't want to race me when Deegan's are 16, 17. I'm like, I don't care. It's just if I'm eligible, the rules are the rules. I'm going racing.
Exactly, you can't argue with
say
that.
whatever they want.
Yeah, on that note, Max. On that note, then, you listen. I know you will turn a blind eye or not react to any social media. I've known you long enough to know that. But there's obviously some people who go, I've seen it already. Look, he's just classic sandbagging. Jump back down the class so he can win because he's not going to win at 450s and all that.
There's no second-rate class, in my opinion.
No.
I think you're 250 or you're 450.
But you've just answered that question.
I don't consider it to be a premium class or anything.
Should I just put this on? For a
Yeah,
minute?
fuck it, wear it.
Yeah, just keep
Wear
that on
it.
permanently.
Fuck them all.
Yeah, I don't know how many other people have got one of these, but
Not many, kid. Not many.
But you know what I mean? So that's the point. You kind of half answered it, but if the opportunity is there to go and race, and you want to go and like I said, it's earning a living. It's a tough sport, and Supercross is a different sport in its own right anyway, compared with motocross, which we kind of know. It's almost
the media nowadays is brutal, and especially in the States, like they jump on everything that if you say one thing, they can turn it out of context and whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, I make money when I'm on the podium. I'm staying in this 250 class until they kick me out. So if you
Good
win,
for you.
So now
Excellent.
you win, and then you've got to go. You can do one more year to defend, and then you've got to go up. So I mean, I want to win the 250 class. I want to go back to the 450s, but why would I try and do that and make less money than it's even like.
Well, this is what most people don't understand. That it is a job, and you have to earn the money. You've got a family. You've got bills to pay. And I know that is a horrible. People don't like it.
Me to race. I'm doing it. It's a bit like these electric bikes. Like I see them, and everyone's talking about, are they going to be racing with us, or are they not? I mean, if they do, it's going to change the game completely.
Yeah.
I can't see it because obviously Formula One, they have Formula E. They don't compete together. MotoGP, Moto E, they don't compete together. I don't know, but if the rule, if they turn around and go, right, we've got to do this, then the plan has to change. You've got to adapt. You've got to. All right, we'll all be racing Honda e-bikes or whatever they are. Like it's you've kind of. I've been around long enough that you've got to adapt and accept that sometimes it'll work out, and sometimes it's like things will go full circle and come back around to you, and it'll work out. If you stay in the game long enough, things that will be taken away will be given as well.
Yeah. Fair play. That's a very pragmatic way of looking at things. I know it's hard to look at things that way, but same with you've been in the industry all your life. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes things don't,
What strikes me at the minute, Max, obviously you're on cloud 9. You are a world champion. I'll just throw that in there one more time.
Max Anstie, world champion. It's
British
got a
world
ring
champion.
to it. Credit where credit's due.
But it also seems to me, like I said, you're on a high. You've won a world championship. But prior to the world championship, you seem the most relaxed and happiest I think I've ever seen you over the last couple of years. Since it's all kind of settled in America and you picked up this ride with Firepower, the team really seems to suit you. I saw also firsthand when you raced the Nations, even though that was a motocross meet and whatever, the team rallied round you. You're in a good spot with those guys. At least that's what it looks like from our standpoint. Would you agree with that?
For sure. I mean, they've done a fantastic job. It was crazy in again like 2022. I was riding for Rocky Mountain, the KTM team. Literally, we did 7 rounds or 8 rounds, and the team just went completely sideways. And myself, Shane McElrath, and Joey Sabaji were all left scratching our heads without a ride. And that time was very stressful. We were trying to figure out, I was trying to get on the Cowie filling ride. I was trying to get on the Husky ride. I was trying to ride outdoors. GM 250, if you want me to win the championship, just let me race outdoors and I'll do whatever. Nothing ever happened. And I'm like, geez, and everyone's saying, oh, you're a 450 guy, you're not a 250 guy. I'm eligible to race a 250. And Yuriv Polsky, the Australian boss, and Martin Davalos, they reached out to me and were like, come and test the bike and this and that. And at the time, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm like, I don't know if a 250 is going to be the right thing. And I went up, met the guys, and honestly, I could see. Again, I've been around a while. I know the importance of the inside of a team or the feeling of a team more than the outside of the team. Yeah. I've been on fantastic teams. They look fantastic on the outside, but inside, everyone's fighting against themselves. It's like, you can't do this. You've got to just, your hands are tied. So I know the importance of building the right people around you. And I felt like we've done a fantastic job over the last year or so with these guys. And next year, everything continues the same. I'm racing East Coast and then World Supercross and Australian again. But I also know in this sport that the wave or whatever you want to call it, it's fragile. It's, we're one phone call away from going, oh, this sponsor's pulled out, or
unemployed,
this manufacturer, we don't know. I've been in a situation where I've been on teams, thought it was fine, and it's all fallen to pieces. So I guess I've been through pretty much, I don't think there's any or many situations I haven't been in with certain teams, because I've been on so many teams. I don't actually think that was a good thing. I would love to have stuck with a certain team for a long time during my GP careers, but I seemed like I was jumping everywhere. But that has kind of given me a calmness, I guess, that, look, whatever happens, happens. Even, there's issues going on with, oh, what about this sponsor, da, 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 da. You can, and I said to my mechanic the other day, I'm like, the solution to our problem, there's no point in focusing on a problem if there even is a problem. The solution to the problem is, let's go and win races. Let's go and focus on our job. Because if we go and win races, everything's going to work itself out, either with the team or, you make yourself more valuable to go to another team. It's this game is like that. It's all result based. So just focusing on one thing at a time, knowing what's important and doing what you can do. But as far as it goes, I love the guys that I've got around me at the moment, and I love see it continue. I mean, it's definitely on for next year, and we'll see where it goes from there.
And you're living in Florida at the moment. You're stateside based, obviously.
I'm actually in Cairo, Georgia, middle of nowhere. But
okay.
It's an hour from Tallahassee.
So you are Davey Millsap's country. Yes,
literally. I get to ride there at MTF, and they got a Star Yamaha is literally, so Star's at the Goat Farm.
Yeah.
Carmichael's old place, which is again 15 minutes. So
yeah, I've been there. It looks a lot more developed now when I was there with Ricky.
I'd say.
What happens is they come and ride with me at MTF.
All right, that's cool.
It's definitely like Star. I can ride with the Star guys once a week or once every. So once a week I'll ride with them. Once a week they'll come ride at MTF. So that's quite good. That gives me other options of tracks. Barsha's also there. Like Justin, he's got his own track and he's worked on another track at MTF. So there's two tracks there. For me, the facilities there are good, and I've got some great people to ride with. Dean comes up and rides pretty much every other week. So me and him get to train and push each other pretty hard, and he's also been riding fantastic this year. So
yes, he has.
He has been riding.
It's crazy. He says it's his last year next year, but I think he's riding the best he's ever ridden, and he's really happy with the crew. And
but like we said before, if he can extend his career by riding a bit of World Supercross and stuff, it's only good. It's only good news.
Yeah,
and of course, you're both now fathers with young kids. That dynamic did obviously. When you have a child, your whole world changes for good, for the positive, for the best part. Wobbs, don't look at me like that.
Mine are just turning teenagers now.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, how have you found that? Because, you're a professional athlete. You've got to race. You've got to focus. Have you found that a welcome distraction at times? Have you also found it difficult at times when you've had to, leave the family to go somewhere? How do you balance the two?
Well, Dean was telling me that he was very tired at the weekend in Australia. The jet lag with the little ones is hard. Millie and my little guy Finn, they didn't come out to Australia for the last race. Really wanted them to come, but where we live in Cairo, we're in the middle of nowhere. We don't have family or anyone over there, so it's hard. We've got our two little dogs as well. We had no one to look after them. It's been a transition because in GPs, Millie, the girlfriends, the wives have much more of a role. I feel like they
Yeah.
It's a 2-day race. You got Saturday and Sunday. They sort out the hotels, the food on Saturday night. They're in pit lane with the goggles and the helmet and this and that, and cleaning up afterwards. It's a whole operation. You are a team yourself as well as the team that you're with. In the US, in Supercross, I mean, it's quite nice. You don't have to pull any tear-offs very often, but everything's clean. You have a goggle guy, you have a boot guy, you have a gear guy. Literally, you show up your knee braces and everything's done for you. And then there's not a whole lot of stuff to do. So it's now been a little different, that transition to the States. And now with the little guy, it adds, a whole nother dynamic to it. But it's weird for myself, and I guess it's come at the right time. But for me, like, I try, and try is the word here. I try to, when I go to the race and Millie and Finn are with me, I try to make it about them. Or try to relax, take my time, because my work is done. Like, there's no, I should be as ready as I'm going to be. Whatever I do on this Saturday, in the morning, everything should be done. So I try to not be as stressed as what it could be. It allows you, I wouldn't say it allows you, it makes you check in with yourself and focus on what's important. Because it's so easy in our little world to go to the race and go, oh, this is the biggest thing. Oh my God, this is the biggest race of my life. The whole world has stopped. The whole world's watching me tonight in Daytona. I literally, if I have a bad race, what's going to happen? Everyone's here just for this and that. Like, you can make it a massive deal. Because from 3 years old, this is what we've always dreamed of and what we've always done. So it is a big deal. But
so it's a level. It's basically a leveler then.
Perspective.
It's a real leveler, basically. Yeah, I mean, it just keeps you grounded. It keeps you absolutely grounded. The bigger picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. And it just allows you to realise what's really important and enjoy everything. Enjoy the ride with it. And it's hard. Like the first couple of years, like my little guy's nearly 2, and it's hard because the travelling, he doesn't fully understand. Like, we flew to Australia for the first round of Australian Supercross, and it was great they got to come, and they came to Abu Dhabi for the media stuff that I did before. But, yeah, when he needs to sleep, he needs to sleep. When he needs his food, he needs his food. It's not about you anymore. It's not completely about, like, right, I need to get there now, I need to do this. It's the way you look at it. It's your perception of the situation. But definitely there's times when you're tired. But it's great. I wouldn't want it any
one
other
of the
way.
levelers.
And
one of the
I
levelers.
think the next few years,
I've
me
seen
still racing. It'll be great to have a little guy, and he enjoys watching.
Yeah, like
Hold on, you froze there.
Yeah. Apologies for the line. We're doing our best here. So with that in mind, then let's inevitably. I say inevitably, you don't know, but the chances are that at some point Finn's going to be riding a bike and looking up to his dad and whatever. So that brings us nicely on to the relationship with your dad. We were talking just before we came on air. Obviously, we mentioned him at the start of the podcast, but he must be incredibly proud. Which parent wouldn't be? The fact their son's just won a world championship. How's it been of late? Obviously, now with you living in America more. The relationship with your dad, because obviously coming through when you was racing GPs, you were seeing him on a lot more of a regular basis. You were home in the UK a lot more. So how has that dynamic been now you're sort of spending less time together? How have you managed that situation?
Well, the first thing with my dad and with Finn. So I was away in Australia. I was away for the month for Abu Dhabi, and my dad was actually out near Cairo, Georgia. He was training a kid for Minios, and he went up to see Millie and Finn. I got Finn a Strider. The only dad mechanicking that I've ever done is I put stickers on his Strider. Got bubbles all over it. Got the hairdryer out. Not a great job, but the stickers look cool. he would not touch his strider with me. Finn would not go on his strider, didn't want to go on it, didn't want anything to do with it. My dad was there 2 minutes later, he sends me a video. He's got him on it, going around. I'm like, how did you do that? Literally, how did you get him? He's flat out, he goes, you just need to do this and do this and do this. And he's going around the whole house. I'm like, yeah. So he's got his magic touch with the...
I've got to say, your dad is quite... Your dad is quite persuasive. I've got to say that.
Yeah, I think if he wants you to do something,
I think your dad can be a pretty persuasive guy.
I will say at this point, credit to where credit's due. Merv gave me my first opportunity. He was my first guy.
I did not know that.
86. I didn't know a soul. I didn't know what I was doing. And Merv gave me my first break.
I thought it was with Rob.
No,
Andrew.
Rob was 88. Merv was 86.
Well, there you go. Nice little...
Yeah, no, Merv gave me... And then I got thrown in the deep end a little bit because...
I have heard that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think your dad was responsible for quite a few guys' first opportunities. John Lower, one of them, and what's his name? Does the engines at KTM?
Leighton,
I believe he was.
Yeah.
So I think he's given quite a few of us.
What a baptism of fire for all of you.
Well, I think he used to get through a few mechanics. That was the thing. So he needed the help. But he credit where credit's due. He gave me an opportunity, and I took it with both hands. That was good enough for me.
Yeah, fair play.
And then obviously your granddad, bless his soul, was a legend, and your Uncle John as well.
Funny.
Yeah, Max.
Oh yeah. You've been around all of them, I know.
Oh yeah, no, I know the family, kid. I was there before you were.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, well, am I wrong in thinking that when I was on a 65 Smith goggles, was that you?
Yeah. Yeah, that was your dad ringing me up asking me for a deal. I'm like, anything you want, kid. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, okay.
Least I can do.
Because I used to have the yellow lenses when I was doing the British Supercross, and he would always make me put the yellow lenses because I could get the light a bit better in the stadium and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, you had the factory deal, kid. You had the factory deal at 65.
I was only little.
Yeah, you had the deal. You won the team.
Yeah.
Well, you were, going back, which is obviously why a big part of me and Rob started this podcast is a little tip of the hat to our days at Moto, where we were both editors. Of course, you was in, can't remember which episode, which edition it was, issue of Moto, but again, you talk about the Smith goggles. I remember you wearing them at the time when me and Blissy came down to do that interview with you in Moto magazine when you was at Greatly training, and then here you are, sat on that bench. Literally, I didn't really have to interview you because you were a 9-year-old kid, and I asked you one question, and you just talked for about an hour. Nothing's really changed, and here we are now. From doing all that. And obviously,
world champion.
Let's just throw that in there again.
Sounds great.
That takes us back to what we was talking about earlier on about all that training and the stuff that your dad taught you. Even then, on that day when me and Blissy came down, your confidence was you've never been short of confidence, have you? Really? And if you have, you never
showed it. No,
you never show it. Have you ever had moments in your career where you've doubted yourself in any way, shape, or form? Because it doesn't shine through if you did.
Well, I mean, like I said, St. John d'Angeli or those tracks. No offense, but I really don't like them. I'm like, they're tracks that I go to, and I'm like, the roost is going to and it's slippery, and so it's crazy because I didn't do that sort of stuff when I was younger. I was always just riding Supercross, and interestingly, about the interviews and things like that, I'm guessing as well, my dad probably wasn't that good at that. So he literally would just put a camera in front of my face from when I was 6-7 years old all the time. And it was like, you need to be good at talking. You need to be good at being able to, showcase yourself well with sponsors and this and that. So even that was sort of, I was kind of made to do it at a young age, and now it's natural and yeah, I mean,
it's really good because a lot of people don't even think about that side of things.
I like to.
Yeah, he absolutely had it mapped out for you, didn't he? He had a plan for you. He absolutely had a plan mapped out.
It's worked out good for him,
and it's worked out completely.
So
very quickly. Very quickly,
just come out. Just quickly, he ended up So he was training a young kid, ended up changing his flights and flew out to Australia 2 days before the final race. And it was great. Like, we, of course, going for a world championship, you know, it adds a bit more pressure, but I was just there like clockwork, just doing my work, doing my laps. And at the end of the day, you can't focus on anything else other than that because, you know, a whole load of other things can happen. But it was great. He was there. We were just cracking on, doing our thing. He was the iPad. He was filming sections and this and that. And now, after all these years, you know, we've gone through different transitions. You know, I would say for a long time, he wasn't really my dad. He was my trainer. And he was like, it was a trainer relationship for a long time. Then in the GPs, I kind of knew that I had to. Well, I had a phone call from Mitch Payton. I spoke to Mitch Payton. I spoke to a lot of teams, Star Yamaha, a lot of teams in the US and in GPs, and it was oh yeah, we would have you, Max, but not if your dad's involved. And I was 17, 18, and I'm like, I don't know how to live. I don't know what I'm doing. All I've been bred for is eat, sleep, and ride and train. That was it. But I knew, in a weird way, I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be held back or miss out on opportunities. And I've seen that with certain other riders in their careers, and I was like, man, the potential was there, but you've got to kind of stand on your own 2 feet. So during my time in the GPs, and even with Dixon, like Dixon was a transitional period for me, and I started being able to talk to the teams and work things out for myself, and now we've moved on to we've got a great relationship. He's now my dad. It's like I can call him about anything and everything. He loves coming to the races to watch, but that's what he does. He watches. He doesn't get involved with me and my stuff. He trusts that I know what we're doing, and
that's cool.
He loves it, and he's great with Finn. It took Millie a little while to warm up. You know, him and Millie had a
this is great stuff.
That was 8 years ago, and he's really in a good place. So I think as far as it goes, it's crazy how the whole picture needs to come together to get results, whether that's in life or whatever.
No, I mean, you've got to find your place, haven't you? You got to find what works for you. And you got to find your place. You know, your dad was intense. Your dad was, but
good word, Wobbs. I'd put Merv down as an intense back in the day.
He was an intense guy, and that's just the way it was. And that's not about. It's not.
I think secretly, if he watches this back, he'll go, I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take that.
He's going to be upset at that one.
No,
you know what I mean. That's not slagging anybody off. He was intense and he wanted to do well, but we had fun as well. He wasn't beyond having a laugh. You know what I mean. We had good times.
Yeah.
I mean, we were running the.
I've heard all the stories.
I'm sure you haven't heard them all, but I'm sure you've heard some of them.
Some of them, yeah. Max, we're just looking at you there. Obviously, we've had a few issues with the signal, and
that's going to be fixed for next time because we got like proper hardwired internet.
We are going to solve that. But I'm just looking there. There's a bike in the background.
What's that?
That looks to me, if I'm not mistaken, the year obviously that you were riding. Is that the Matterley bike? Is that the winning nations bike? Because we better quickly touch on it. Is
go on.
There it is. Look at that.
This is
how cool's that?
This is her, and then this old BSA here as well. This is my one of my friend's dad's bikes, and they've got them both in there.
Very nice.
Staring out.
Cool.
That's cool.
Let's just quickly talk about that. Sign off on that actually, because obviously, what an epic weekend that was.
I keep getting asked. I
know you do, but still, I mean, that is a big moment in anybody's career. To win a GP is a massive thing. To go 1-1 at the Motocross of Nations, I mean, and your home.
That's got to be. I mean, like, there's got to be touch and go. Exactly.
Yeah,
there's got to be like a highlight of your career. I know you just won a world championship, but to win both races at Nations.
Yeah, of course. It taught me a lot because it was it was unexpected, and
It was.
in the moment, and afterwards, I was like, yeah, great, this is what I want to do. I'm going to keep winning. And it's been this long. I mean, 2017 and then to now was the next time that I felt that same feeling. With this championship, I really feel it's like a Dutch, that they say, "Oh, you content with it?" But I feel like I'm quite content with the place where I'm at, and happy to actually accept it, enjoying knowing the process of what we've gone through. The Nations at Matterley in 2017 was a fantastic weekend, and when things go right, they go right. Like that whole weekend went right. Even though I slid out and fell off in one of them, I still got up and was hammering. Like it was fantastic. And I actually thought you were going to ask me about the Nations coming up.
We were edging towards that. So you can. I mean, you've said all the way throughout this podcast that you're kind of focusing on Supercross and stuff like that. But what happens if Mark Chamberlain does call you several months in advance and says, "Do you reckon you could come back in and do that again?"
But like we spoke to Mark about that briefly, and Mark's like, "What you don't realise is the logistics of getting the team there and a bike there. It's not that easy. It's really expensive, and it's not that easy."
That's the thing. It's my team right now is a Supercross team.
Yeah.
They're very specialised in what we do. So to put in, like you said, the F. So there's a couple of things. I wouldn't want to just come to Matterley without being ready to perform. Like I want to go there to perform properly. I had that experience in Redbud in 2022. I went kind of unprepared on the 250, thought I'll be fine. And I mean, it's obvious to everyone. I mean, 2022 was fucking terrible. Like I was riding around in Redbud and I was like, "Oh mate, this is not the one." But the bike in Supercross is fantastic. So and the difference is just the amount of time and effort that you put into it. It'll take 8 weeks at least. Like I need 6 to 8 weeks of proper prep to be ready to go.
And who pays for that all? You know what I mean?
I've got to get outdoor suspension.
Yeah. And on top of that, we don't know as of yet the schedule for the World Supercross. So listen, you're not saying that you wouldn't do it, but the odds as we sit here are kind of stacked against you being able to do it.
Well, there's things going on in my mind. Matterley, like, amazing place. I would love to come home. But I can't do any better than what I did before. So am I going to end up going, "Oh, I've kind of like tarnished that memory"? But no, I obviously don't think I will. Two, it's a hell of a lot of effort to make work. But for my country, of course, for GB, it is an incredible honour to do it. And it's one of those where you're not going to get this opportunity forever. If Factory Honda turned around to me and said, "Yeah, Max, we've got a bike for you. Roger Harvey's gone, I've sorted you a bike out for a bit. You've got a couple of months to get ready. Come and do it on a Jet Lawrence bike or a Geyser bike." I would I would have to really think about it a lot.
And that's what people say when they say about riders don't want to come. They're not going to get paid. They don't understand the work it takes to get there, the investment from the team to get there. And
exactly, and about getting paid or whatever. I mean, it's the biggest race in, and this is, I'm kind of touching on a few different things, but this is where like I really wanted this World Championship, and I've got to go and win another one because I know me and Jeff Jeff was pushing to the media outlets in the UK for the news and for the BBC Plus and things like that, because I feel like the image of UK motocross and supercross is people in white vans going to dirty fields, and I mean, there was a race at Culham that I heard about, a British, I don't know which one. They had to stop it because the kids were throwing bricks at the trains going by. I'm like, it isn't a good look. Like, France, Motocross of Nations, their federation, their government pays them a hell of a lot of money. They have such a good setup for it. The Italians view Caroli as a hero. Jeffrey in Holland, the king of Holland goes to the Motocross of Nations in Assen. I really want to try to showcase that, you know, what we do is professional. We should be viewed as, you know, a professional sport, not and also the kids of the UK can look at that and go, right, we need to get our act together and be straight and be on it and push to then have the next level of British racers, you know, then to get back on the podium for the nations. Because no offense, right now, like the team that we have, like, I mean, me, Tommy and Dean was a sick team. I would love to do it with Conrad, Ben, Josh Gilbert. But the level of everyone else is so high, we all need to be better, like whether that's in GPs or worldwide. And to do that for the British, for the UK, it starts with the kids. And
similar,
definitely,
we've always touching on this one.
There's things with the nations that, of course, I would love to race it. It's not a no right now. I don't know what the schedule's going to be. My friends even were telling me the other day when Erne was on, were they like, "Oh, were you have you got FOMO? Are you missing out for not being in Erne?" And I was like, "Well, one, I got landed on there in 2015, so I don't like that." So
that was massive, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah, that was nasty. I didn't think you were going to get up from that.
Like I saw that whole thing.
It's
like it happened in slow motion.
I usually watch the crowd react, and I'm like, "What happened?" But I actually watched that happen, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's not a good one."
That wasn't ideal.
To say the least.
I was like, I was racing in Australia for the first round of the Australian Supercross Championship that same weekend. And I'm racing in an arena, racing Supercross in the other side of the world. I get paid to race. I get second round to win. I'm like, right, it's Australia Supercross Championship. I'm like, it's good for me, good for the team. Yes, I would love to do the British. I would love to race the nations for Britain, for the UK, for GB, for my country, because it is a fantastic honour and an achievement to even get to that level. But like you said, things have to line up because I want to do it right. If I'm doing it, I want to go in and I want to be competitive.
I'll tell you what we do. I'll tell you what we do. Wobbs knows Rog pretty well, as do I.
I'll make a call.
We'll put some heat on Rog.
I'll make a call
to get your factory bike. In the meantime, go out there. Obviously, win AM. It's all easy. It's just easy to say.
Win a Supercross
Go out and
championship.
win AMA Supercross East
Just
Coast.
splash out a championship, no problem.
Don't mince about with that. Get that done. Come back out, win another World Supercross Championship. Obviously, I'd love to think the guys at World Supercross are going to come back to the UK, particularly. That would be brilliant for us, with, as you just said, Max, with you as a world champion to promote the sport. Maybe then we could get the BBC Breakfast team to come out, because we've been trying to make that happen. And if they come back to the UK with the World Supercross, then hopefully we might be able to get BBC Sport out. And as you said, you can do your job as an ambassador for the sport, because it is worth shouting about. We have a world champion. I'm just going to say that one more time.
It sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's thoroughly deserved, Max. Going on from that, we could talk to you for another podcast about developing youth riders and whatever, but maybe we'll save that for another time when we can actually get
we'll speak to you after the Supercross, after you've won that championship.
Yes. Yeah.
How about that?
Well, me and Wobbs are contemplating coming out.
We are coming out.
We're coming out. We might come to an East Coast Supercross this year, so we might catch up with you there.
Daytona is really cool.
Yeah, well, that's the one we were looking at. So maybe we will then, after all. We can hang out with you for a bit. Listen, mate, we really appreciate it, because Max actually, he's not in the other side of the world, as you can see. He's in the UK, but his schedule is so mad coming back from the FIM Awards that we wanted to try and get him actually in the studio, but we couldn't. But we've had a few technical hitches, so thanks for sticking with us. Max, thanks for giving us up your time. Just show us one more time before you sign off. I know some people are listening to this on Apple and Spotify and not seeing that.
Max is holding up a great big gold medal.
FIM World Champion.
Lovely. Good for you, kid.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, mate. Again, thanks for your time, and we'll keep working on the BBC and mainstream media.
We'll get you on there. Good luck next year, Max. You're a star. Have some time off.
I appreciate everything. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, anytime we'll go and get a few more of these things and do some more podcasts.
Perfect. Cheers, Matt.
Nice one. There you go. So Max is going to go off. He's going to go sightseeing around London now.
Nice.
While he's over here for a short while, and then he flies back to Florida. Another great podcast. Some really interesting stuff.
It's the first podcast we've done sober.
That is the first podcast we've done without any drink inside.
So there you go. This is 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning.
See, we're professional, Max. We can do early starts.
Normally we're 3 or 4 beers deep at this point.
But we made it. So thanks for tuning in. Obviously, keep following us on Facebook at Torq Moto. If you want to email us about anything, we are going to start releasing a few more guests that we got coming up to give you more pre-warning so you can fire some questions. We got some really good people coming up. If you need to email us, it's info.torqmoto@gmail.com. Another big shout out to the guys at Talon. Anybody else that wants to get involved, obviously just hit us up as we grow this thing. And that's it, really. We'll keep pushing forward.